Hello everyone, it's your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how was my day today, July 7th, 2020, and what are my plans for tomorrow, July 8th, 2020. If you guys want to talk with me about anything, feel free to hit me up on the Discord, link in the description box below. So without further ado, let's get things started. So there's this thing going on Twitter. I actually learned about it from my friend Noah. Noah sent me a message the other day saying supposedly the CIA released documents this year proving aliens, manifestation, and that we're all living in a simulation. It's got a lot of words and I just worked an 8-hour shift, so I haven't read it yet. That's what Noah's message said. So when I saw this message from Noah, I decided that I would try and investigate it further, because a lot of what he was talking about sounded fairly familiar to me. So I tried to look up like Twitter, CIA or whatever, see what he's talking about. Because an earlier message, I think he mentioned Twitter specifically, which is what got me on that track. So then I found this article that's trending. CIA energy hologram explained. Twitter users claim the law of attraction is real. So I was like, the law of attraction is real, hologram explained. Again, a lot of this is sounding really familiar to me. But also I'm like, Then going through that article, it links over to a CIA document, a declassified document that I've read before. And this document's pretty old. It came out in 2003. It was written in 1983. So it was released 20 years after it was actually written up. But the document in question is called Analysis and Assessment of the Gateway Process. And I was surprised, I guess, for multiple things. For one, there's this misconception that that document was created this year. I thought that was weird. Another thing that I thought was weird is that this article isn't what's causing the tweets. It's the tweets that are causing the article. If you read through this article, it's about how people on Twitter are talking about this document. Not necessarily that some big, I guess, influencer. It's not a huge influencer broke the case of, oh, there's this document that's out that proves all these things. As far as I'm aware, it just seems like a whole bunch of people on the same day seem to have been hey, why is nobody talking about this? But I feel there must have been someone. This article doesn't point at anyone in particular, being the person who started the trend. But going on Twitter, there are a bunch of different posts of people talking about it. And a lot of the posts are around the same general time. So it's people saying stuff like, the CIA literally released documents sharing that you can expand your consciousness, supporting that the law of attraction is real and that we humans are energy holograms. Another person said, the CIA released documents referring to humans as energetic holograms, and basically proving we're just balls of energy that never truly die, confirming manifestation and the law of attraction to be for real. And y'all are still gonna manifest a text back from a twig with a nicotine addiction. Next up, another person said, CIA energy hologram explained, and then shared a link to the article that I showed you guys a moment ago. Then this person said, so I don't know why more people aren't talking about this, but the CIA released documents proving that we're energetic beings, which proves that the law of attraction is real and that we create our own reality. And there are more tweets. There are tons of tweets about this. Here's another one. LOL, CIA releases documents saying that the law of attraction is real and we can control our own outcomes and success, and suddenly everyone's freaking out thinking we're in a simulation. People are fucking stupid. We'll get back to this particular tweet later. Next up, this guy said, why is no one talking about how the CIA released documents that proves that the law of attraction and astral projection is real? Because we're in an energy hologram? And I find it interesting that so many people in their tweets are like, I can't believe no one's talking about it. Because it sounds weird. Like, it's almost as if all the people on Twitter talking about it didn't hear about it from Twitter. But as far as I'm aware, it's like a Twitter trend, like a fairly recent Twitter trend, to talk about this. Anyways, even though the document's super old, like it was written in 1983 and then released in 2003, so people have like known about this who like it was available to the public where anyone could know about it like 17 years ago. And people are talking about it like it's like a brand new thing. And not only are people talking about it like it's a brand new thing, people are talking about it as in like, why is it that no one else is talking about this like breaking news? Like, it's not even that the content of the document is what's making it like, why is no one talking about it? Or the fact that no one's been talking about it for 17 years. It's the fact that people are misidentifying the document as being new and being like, why is no one talking about this new thing? Next up, this guy said, okay, so the CIA basically agrees with the simulation theory plus law of attraction to a degree, which is crazy, lol. So we're just projections and none of this is real. Interesting. Speaking of which, I don't understand this concept that if the universe or reality is a hologram, that it somehow makes us like not real. So if you, your whole life, have had all these experiences, and there's nothing you could say about the world that we live in that I think would make me go, it's not real. You know what I mean? Like, if this is all we really know, even if it was revealed that it was like a hologram, that doesn't really establish that there's anything else for you to compare it to. Like, isn't this as real as we can understand it to be? You know what I mean? Like, it just sounds weird. I don't know. Let me know your opinion on that. If the universe is a hologram, is it suddenly not real? Like, I don't get how it's not real. Here's another tweet where this person said, the law of attraction officiated by the CIA. But if you understand how powerful the vibrations of your thoughts are, this is nothing new. And we'll get into it in a bit, why it really annoys me that people are saying that the document says that the law of attraction is real. Don't worry, we're gonna like look at the document and we're gonna talk about it. But let's look at another tweet. This tweet says, CIA document confirms our reality is a hologram. The law of attraction is real. And there's a link to another article. Now, I haven't read this article, but this article also says newly released. Newly released. It was released in 2003. Also, this isn't me just looking at the article, like looking at the document and saying, the top of the document says 2003, so clearly it was released in 2003. This is me saying that I read this document like a few years ago. This isn't like a new thing. This is something that I personally have known about like for a while. And it's been on the CIA website for a while. And I don't know why suddenly a ton of people are like, it's new, it's new. Oh, it's new. Why is no one talking about this new thing? No one's talking about it because it was like 20 years old when we finally got to see it. And now it's like 37 years old. You know, like it's even older news than when it was released. And anything this document has to say about like the universe and how the world works or about science is kind of invalid. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, this may have been, I can't even say it's cutting edge for its time. Like if you read the document, it's talking about the gateway process, which is a practice done by the Monroe Institute. The Monroe Institute is an organization that like still exists, and the gateway process is also something that still exists. You can actually do the gateway experience now online. It's an 8-week online course to explore beyond the physical realm, and it costs you $1,065. But the stuff that's being described here for the Monroe Institute Gateway experience is the same exact thing that's being described in this document, because this document is about the gateway experience. So if everything in this document is true, and if even though it was written in like 1983, it somehow is like the cutting edge of science, and like no one knew, and everything's a hologram, blah, 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 blah. Like, if all that's true, then bet. Put your money where your mouth is. Go spend like $1,065 and train in the gateway process so that you'll be able to unlock all the crazy powers that are documented in this document. Speaking of crazy powers, so a lot of people are talking about how it's the law of attraction. It confirms that the law of attraction is real. And not only are there tweets, but there are a couple of weird videos that you can find on YouTube. One is by Alexa Bliss and one is by Mark Gonzalez. Both of these videos were released a day ago, and they're identical, more or less. They're both weird and very artificial, like a bot made them. And it takes like random images and just splashes on text talking about the law of attraction, but referring to it as the wrong thing. In Alexa Bliss's video, it calls it the secret is the law of tourist attraction, which I thought was really jarring. And then this one calls it the law of tourist attraction as well. This is the Mark Gonzalez one. So again, really weird. But if you look at both of these videos and both of these channels, you can tell that these channels are fairly new. They don't have a lot of videos. None of their videos have a lot of views, and they both link to the same website. And the website, if you look at the URL, seems to indicate that it's like a website about the law of attraction. But if you run it through a virus scanner like VirusTotal, it shows that it's actually a phishing website. It's like a malicious website. And instead of it being a law of attraction website, it's manifestationmagic.com. Also, if you try to navigate it and you have like McAfee Web Advisor, like if you try to go to that website, it'll stop you. It'll be like, hey, this is probably not a good idea for you to go over there. So they're essentially capitalizing off of this Twitter hype about the CIA document that reveals that reality is a hologram and that the law of attraction is real. They're essentially using this as like a phishing scheme. And this is like a pivot point for them to get gullible people who want to learn more about what's going on to then go to their website so that they can like steal their credentials and then use that for malicious practices. So look out for stuff like this, because it can straight up just lead you into a scam if you're not careful. But anyways, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the law of attraction. So the concept behind the law of attraction is that if you think good thoughts and you focus on what you want for your future and you kind of like meditate on it, that you can bring about good things in your life. So it's essentially like saying your thoughts will mirror reality. So if you think positively and you focus on like your goals for the future, then you will meet your goals and you will be able to attain your future. And people use stuff like vision boards, which are visual representations of their goals, in order to try and help them like focus and meditate on their goals for the future. And there's a famous book called The Secret that's all about the law of attraction. So the law of attraction, I don't believe there's any evidence for that actually being a thing. I would argue though that there is like a psychological component to it. If you're continually thinking happy thoughts and thinking about your goals and what you want for the future, that can help increase your mood and probably make you feel better about life. And if you feel like happier or like more confident, that likely would help you achieve your goals. But it's not like your thoughts are manipulating reality as much as it is like you're now just in a more positive mindset that's just more productive, that allows you to do the things that you want to do. What's being described in this document, however, the gateway process, is much more extreme than just, I will achieve my goals. Oh, like I want like a brand new Tesla or whatever. If I work hard, I'll be able to like afford like the new car or whatever. It's not like that. It's like literally magic. They call it patterning, and if you read like maybe the first couple sentences, it'll sound like the law of attraction. But if you actually read the full description of what patterning is, it's just magic. It's literally the concept that you can manifest anything, like literally anything. And the only drawback is that the crazier the thing is you want, the longer it will take. Meaning that they're claiming that if you wanted the brand new Tesla, but it's a transformer that transforms into a dragon that's on the moon, and the moon is your private mansion that's full of orc bitches with 7 eyes, but they're thick though, then you could get it. It just may take a really long time. To which then, since essentially whatever you want will, come about eventually, you could also just be like, you resurrect. So eventually you'll resurrect and there'll be a mansion on the moon with the bitches and the Tesla dragon transformer or whatever. Don't believe me? Let's dive in. This is an excerpt taken directly from the document. I'm looking at the document, cut this part out, bam. This is the entire section talking about patterning, by the way. And this is the main thing that people are focusing on when they're like, oh, it like proves that the law of attraction is real. Okay, so here's the document. This is a 29-page document. That section on patterning is page 20. There's all this other shit. There are so many different crazy superpowers and stuff that are mentioned in this. It goes way beyond the concept of like, oh, the universe is a hologram, or like, oh, the law of attraction is real. This thing is describing like out-of-body experiences, remote viewing, traveling to like other dimensions, traveling through time. It's crazy. But before we dive into all that other craziness, let's just focus on patterning. So patterning. This technique involves use of the consciousness to achieve desired objectives in the physical, emotional, and intellectual sphere. It involves concentration on the desired objective while in a focused 12 state, extension of the individual's perception of that objective into the whole expanded consciousness, and its projection into the universe with the intention that the desired objective is already a matter of established achievement which is destined to be realized within the time frame specified. This particular methodology is based on the belief that the thought patterns generated by our consciousness in a state of expanded awareness create holograms which represent the situation we desire to bring about, and in doing so establish the basis for actual realization of that goal. Once the thought-generated hologram of the sought-after objective is established in the universe, it becomes an aspect of reality which interacts with the universal hologram to bring about the desired objective which might not under other circumstances ever occur. To reiterate that before I continue. To bring about the desired objective which might not under other circumstances ever occur. Meaning that something that normally would be impossible is something that you could do through patterning. A lot of times when people are talking about the law of attraction, they're talking more about like achieving like realistic goals. They may be difficult goals, but realistic goals. Not literally manifesting anything that you want, even if it wouldn't otherwise be possible. And also, the law of attraction has nothing to do with a focused 12 state. That's like Monroe Institute language, because in order to unlock all these different abilities, the Monroe Institute requires you to learn how to like achieve all these different states. You're essentially like leveling up, and as you level up, you get more powers. Kind of like an RPG. And I know that sounds silly, but that's because this is a document written in 1983 by a member of the government who's essentially trying to outline how the gateway process can be used by the military in order to do like espionage operations. that involve out-of-body experiences, traveling between different dimensions, fighting interdimensional entities, traveling through time, and manipulating reality. Sounds crazy, right? Sounds like something that actually would be worth tweeting about. But instead, people are like, nah, it's hologram universe, right? It's all hologram. And law of attraction. None of that other shit. Even though most of the document is about all of that other shit. But let's keep going. So, where we at though? Here we go. In other words, the technique of patterning recognizes the fact that since consciousness is the source of all reality, our thoughts have the power to influence the development of reality in time-space as it applies to us if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity. However, the more complicated the objective sought and the more radically it departs from our current reality, the more time the universal hologram will need, to reorient our reality sphere to accommodate our desires. So in other words, reality itself needs time to essentially shapeshift into whatever bullshit you were trying to do. So essentially, if you try to like push your thoughts onto the holographic reality is like, we got a little loading bar. We haven't advanced to the PlayStation 5 yet. We can't just instantly load games. So whatever you're wishing for right now, it'll come eventually, however long that takes. But they do have a warning about trying to use the patterning technique. A warning that implies the idea of like severing reality by wishing too hard. But the way that they explain it is, Monroe trainers caution against attempting to force the pace of this process. So if you try to like speed it up somehow, like try to make it where reality manifests your desires faster, because the individual could succeed in dislocating his existing reality with drastic consequences. Whatever dislocating your reality means, like, what does that mean? Does that mean that you like rapidly changed it and it just messed up? Does that mean that you've been removed from reality, or that your reality has somehow splintered off from the normal reality? We don't know, because this is the whole section on patterning in this like 29-page document, because patterning doesn't even really matter, and I don't know why people are focusing on it and downplaying it at the same time. This is like, somehow this is the thing that everyone's talking about, but also somehow it's nothing like what they're describing. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of people aren't reading the documents, they're just talking about the documents. Similar to how Noah was like, you know, I heard that it's a thing, I'm just kind of sharing the news, I'm tired, I'm just going to go to bed. I feel like that's what a lot of these tweets are like. A lot of these tweets are like, oh man, you know, crazy news, right? I didn't read it. But a lot of them aren't as honest as Noah's. A lot of them aren't saying, I haven't read it. They're just like, oh, CIA, they released a thing. Yeah, this is true. Whatever. But let's get into the nitty gritty on like some of these other powers I was talking about. A lot of people have been doing screenshots like what I was doing. But they mainly focus on not the patterning thing, they focus on the hologram universe thing. So let me scroll through. Oh, one of my neighbor's phones is vibrating. I thought I was getting a phone call. That threw me for a minute. Anyways, let me scroll down. So everyone's been showing off this section that talks about holograms, and it talks about how the universe is a hologram. And this section's not too particularly long, but it's nothing of particular interest, at least not to me. But I'll read over it real quick, because this is part of the hype, is like the whole, like, the universe is a hologram. But anyways, energy creates, stores, and retrieves meaning in the universe by projecting or expanding at certain frequencies in a three-dimensional mode that creates a living pattern called a hologram. The concept of the hologram can be most easily understood by using an example cited by Bentov, in which he asks the reader to visualize a bowl full of water into which 3 pebbles are dropped. as the ripples created by the simultaneous entry of the three pebbles radiate outward towards the rim of the bowl. Bentov further asks the reader to visualize that the surface of the water is suddenly flash frozen, so that the ripple pattern is preserved instantly. The ice is removed, leaving the three pebbles still laying at the bottom of the bowl. Then the ice is exposed to a powerful, coherent source of light such as a laser. The result will be a three-dimensional model or representation of the position of the three pebbles suspended in midair. Holograms are capable of encoding so much detail that, for example, it is possible to take a holographic projection of a glass of swamp water and view it under magnification to see small organisms not visible to the naked eye when the glass of water itself is examined. The whole concept of holography, despite its scientific implications, has only been known to physicists since the underlying mathematical principles were worked out by Dennis Gabor in 1947. Now, 1947 to us sounds like a while away, like, oh wow, 1947 is a throwback. But this document was written in 1983, so the concept of holograms was less than 40 years old at that time. Next up, they have like a quote that talks about holograms or whatever. It don't matter. It's fine. You guys get it. Holograms, woo. It goes into further detail, and it talks about how the universe is a hologram and how everything is a hologram. Blah, 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 blah. It also talks about like intervening dimensions and the idea that there are like multiple different dimensions. It also talks heavily about like traveling through like space and time through like an energy body and how out-of-body experiences can be used. There's a section here about like remote viewing, being able to like leave your body in order to explore the world and like spy on people from a distance. There's stuff about traveling into the past, sending your energy body essentially back in time in order to spy on history. There's this section about being able to send your energy body into the future and to explore the future. Of course, there's this section about out-of-body movement in general. There's all this crazy stuff. Here's a section talking about how out-of-body experiences can be used to spy on people. Tons of stuff. Tons of stuff in this document that most people just aren't talking about at all. And there's even like instructions at the end. They're talking about like how can you fast track this process so that you'd be able to essentially like spread this across like the military. Like what if we wanted to train a whole bunch of people to quickly be able to develop all these powers to be used for espionage? All this stuff is pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Even in their steps, they're talking about like the whole projecting through like time and into other dimensions, and they talk about how you got to be careful because there could be like interdimensional beings that get in the way. Let me try and find that, because I think that part is actually fairly interesting, talking about the idea that like if we can project into other dimensions, there are likely other things in those dimensions that could like mess with you. So let me see. Use the multi-focused approach, three individuals, out-of-body state, viewing the target object in time-space, one viewing it from the past, one viewing it from the immediate future. Let's see, compared data, they all go into their out-of-body experience together in the same environment, so they resonate with each other. Which is also another concept, the idea that not only can you have out-of-body experiences as an energy body, but you can resonate with other energy bodies. So they can tune in on the same target from different planes or dimensions with greater effectiveness. So it's like combining the agent in the past, the agent in the present, and the agent in the future in order to spy on a specific target. Again, this is like cool, interesting stuff, not what people are talking about on Twitter. Anyways, I'm trying to find the part where they talk about... Yeah, here we go. Arrange to have groups of people in Focus 12 state unite their altered consciousnesses to build holographic patterns around sensitive areas to repulse possible unwanted out-of-body presences. So essentially they're like, we want to make sure that anyone else who like has these out of body experience abilities can't get to like areas that we don't want them to be in. So it's the idea of them using patterning, the stuff that people are equating to the law of attraction for some reason, to straight up create magical wards to protect from other like out of body agents and stuff. Cool shit. Like really cool. Why are people talking about it? Okay, so I have so many questions. I'm like, why is it that people are talking about this on Twitter now when the document's like 37 years old and it's been available for the last like 17 years? Why are people talking about it like it's brand new, as if like it just came out? Why are people talking about patterning as if it's the law of attraction, even though it's like a really different thing? Why is it that people who are talking about this document aren't talking about like the Monroe Institute and the fact that the gateway process that the military wanted to use in order to like spy on people astrally is just a thing? Like the process still exists and it's just a consumer product. It's expensive, but if you have enough money, you can just do it. And it's just no one's talking about this stuff, but everybody's talking about it, but it doesn't make sense why they're talking about it. Weird. Like really weird. Also, remember when the Pentagon released like footage of like UFOs or whatever, and it was like, this is the first time the Pentagon's ever like publicly released footage of stuff that they claim to be UFOs, and how everybody was like, we don't really give a shit because like COVID's going on and there's just a lot of crazier stuff happening. COVID's like worse than it's ever been right now. Why is it that this shit that didn't come out this year is like the new hype? How is this hype? It's so old. It's so old. And no one's even talking about the hype parts. I don't get it. It's like I don't know how to be hip with the kids. This is like the kind of thing that I can get hype about without taking too seriously, where I could have fun discussing this kind of stuff with people, but people aren't really reading it and they're not really having discussions about it. They're just saying it's the law of attraction or whatever. Oh, and where's the tweet I said I was going to go back to? This guy's like, lol, CIA releases documents stating that the law of attraction is real and we can control our own outcomes and success. And suddenly everyone's freaking out thinking we're in a simulation. People are fucking stupid. Everybody's talking about the hologram part. So this is someone who's like, I only heard the law of attraction part, so I don't get why people are talking about the simulation. Which to me just shows further, right, that you didn't read the thingy. Most of these people didn't read the document. But I feel like this one shows like additional ignorance. Like it goes further than the other ones. But whatever. Anyways, did I cover everything in my list? I actually made a list of things that annoy me about the current Twitter hype claiming that the CIA has confirmed the law of attraction is real. I think I've covered all this stuff. The document everyone is referring to was written in 1983, actually, not 84. Definitely not 34, not 64. Come on, my guy. Was written in 1983, so all the information in the document is kind of outdated. The document was approved for release back in 2003, meaning that this information has been public knowledge for like the last 17 years. Everyone's hyped because they claim the document proves that the law of attraction exists and that the universe is a hologram. But if you read the article, the document, it is literally a guide to train CIA, train like CIA or like the Army. Like it was declassified by the CIA, but the document talks more about the Department of Defense. I would rather say a guide to train the Army to astral project, travel through time, travel to alternate dimensions, fight interdimensional entities, and manipulate reality for the purposes of espionage. I guess it would make more sense for it to be CIA. Like, the CIA declassified it, so that makes it seem like it's a CIA file. Makes sense. And it's about espionage. So, yeah, I think it would be more likely that it's like a document designed to train the CIA to perform astral espionage. Continuing on. The closest the document gets to proving the law of attraction exists is explaining a technique called patterning, which is more like full-on reality manipulation than it is the law of attraction. The videos about the subject that are capitalizing off the current hype are weird and call the law of attraction the law of tourist attraction and the law of destination. The channels that these videos are on appear to be weird bot channels using similar formats with no subscribers and little to no views, and both channels are promoting the same law of attraction website, which is flagged as an unsafe phishing website. Even if, this is something I haven't touched on, even if everything in the document was true, even if you could access all these powers, it wouldn't be of particular use to anyone. The government would likely not release a document like this detailing how to essentially ascend into becoming a godlike being unless they thought that doing so wouldn't threaten national security. So even if everything in the document was true, then the government would have a number of safeguards put in place to stop like astral spies or time travelers or essentially wizards, because patterning is just magic, from essentially breaking reality. And the document itself even talks about like the wards, like the thing that we were talking about earlier. In the conclusion, where they're giving the guide on how to fast track the gateway process, like I mentioned before, they're talking about how to like guard sensitive areas against unwanted out-of-body presences. So essentially, if the government truly believes that all of this is real, right, and they're training CIA operatives in order to like do all these fantastic feats and travel through time and space to spy on people, they already in their plans are like, and will manipulate reality to make it where other people can't spy on us. So it would be like, good luck spying on us, because we just got people making wards. It's probably just a whole job. That is, if this is taken seriously, and if this is like still practice, there wouldn't be anything you could really do about it. If you're like, I could go into the gateway process, I could probably like travel back in time or travel into the future and like manipulate reality, there would be like the CIA interdimensional time travel police that would just be like, no. Like, you wouldn't release this kind of thing. Like, even if it was all true and all real, you wouldn't release this kind of thing if you didn't have safeguards in place to stop that. And that's even saying that it like is real. It likely isn't. It was written back in the 80s, and it's about this random Monroe Institute stuff. Speaking of which, no one's really talking about the Monroe Institute, which is the organization that the document claims teaches all these incredible abilities. The Gateway program described in the document is still taught by the Monroe Institute. You can actually participate in the program online for just $1,065. For the cost of a month's rent, you could put all your faith in a CIA document from 36 years ago and attempt to become a literal god. So yeah. Boo-doo, boo, boo-doo, boo. Also is 37 years. But yeah. So that's the first topic of today. Next topic, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. So Kingdoms of Amalur is a medieval fantasy action RPG that I played back in the day. If you guys know me, you know I'm not a big fan of medieval fantasy, but Kingdoms of Amalur is one of the few medieval fantasy video games that I really vibed with. I enjoyed a side story where you become like the headmaster of a magic school. It's really fun. I definitely enjoyed playing through that side story. Now the game is getting a remaster. Supposedly the graphics are going to be better. I have heard that they may be like freshening the gameplay, like making the gameplay more fresh for like modern audiences, but I don't know if that's necessarily true, so I would take that with a grain of salt. All the DLC from the original game is going to be in this remaster, and they're releasing an expansion, like an additional DLC set that expands the world of Kingdoms of Amalur and gives you like more quests to go on and continues the story. So I'm pretty hyped. I actually think this is a really cool way to do a remaster. Because when you think about it, a lot of games that are successful get like a Game of the Year edition, where they re-release it and they're like, here's the game with all the DLC. And then a lot of games end up getting like a remaster, where it's like we updated like the graphics, or we like updated the mechanics, or we like remade the game and we made it like a little bit more fresh and a little bit more new. And a lot of games get expansions where they're like, we're continuing upon this game so that you can play a little bit more of it. And this remaster is all three of those things. It's like a remaster, it's a Game of the Year edition, and it's an expansion all rolled into one. And to me, that just sounds like value. That just sounds like a really good game. It appeals to new fans because it's like updated with maybe updated gameplay, but definitely updated graphics. And it allows you to enjoy everything that the original game had to offer because it has all of the DLC. But then it also attracts old fans because they get to relive the world of Kingdoms of Amalur, but updated. So the world's going to look nicer, and it may even play a little bit better if you have like modern sensibilities, depending on whether or not the gameplay change thing is actually true. And it gives you something new to look out for. You're like, oh, like that expansion is stuff that I haven't played before. So it's like, even if you own the original Kingdoms of Amalur, and you're like, I like how the original looks, like I don't really think it needs to be updated, you could be like, but that expansion though, that's just gonna be for this remaster. So if I wanna continue the adventures of Amalur, I gotta hit it up. So I think this is amazing. I hope you guys are hyped for it. Let me know in the comment section below you guys' thoughts on the Kingdom of Amalur. So, DC Comics has their own symbiote. I knew that like Marvel had their symbiotes with like Carnage and Venom and Toxin, stuff like that. In DC, the symbiote is called Black Rock, and it's essentially like this black stone that spreads across your body, similarly to like a Venom symbiote. And it kind of warps your mind and makes you believe that like humans are inferior and that aliens are superior and that aliens should rise up and take over the world. It's like a parasite. It pretty much is just like the symbiotes from Marvel a little bit, not gonna lie. But the powers that it gives you are a little bit different. I've read that it gives you like energy manipulation abilities, but in the comics I read, that wasn't really the case. I never saw energy manipulation displayed. It seemed like the main powers that it seemed to give you were like super strength, maybe super speed, and flight. But definitely super strength and flight. Batman actually uses the Black Rock in order to fight Superman, and he hits Superman so hard that it makes him bleed. Batman is also capable of flying. He just flies like through the ceiling and then like across the city. So you definitely get flight, you definitely get super strength, and it was able to boost Batman to be so strong that he could make Superman bleed. Now, it does have a weakness though. So the weakness of the symbiote isn't like the Marvel symbiote weakness, because Marvel's symbiotes are weak against like sound and heat and stuff like that. But the Black Rock symbiote is afraid of its host being too weak. So if it seems like its host is too weak or that its host is going to die, the Black Rock will leave its host and look for a new host. So as long as you can get the upper hand in a battle against someone who has the Black Rock symbiote, you can then force the symbiote to leave them, which will cause them to become depowered. So, Tron 3. Well. So Mitchell Leib, who's a Disney executive, revealed that Tron 3 is officially back in development. So I'm pretty excited about Tron 3, not gonna lie. Tron Legacy introduced the concept of ISOs, who exist within the grid, which is like the digital world that Tron explores. And ISOs are sentient programs. And Tron Legacy kind of explores the idea of the non-sentient programs wanting to try and drive the sentient programs to extinction. And it also talks about the idea of the sentient programs being emergent, meaning they weren't made by anyone. It's essentially like the singularity taking place within the world of the grid. And I would love to see a movie that expands upon these ideas. And how many ISOs are there now? Are ISOs like treated differently since the events of like Tron Legacy? What's like the power dynamic between like non-sentient AI and sentient AI? I love stories about sentient AI and sentient AI rights. So if Tron 3 dives headfirst into that, then I'll definitely be hyped to watch it for sure. Beth and I broke up. So my girlfriend Beth and I broke up. We broke up from like a mutual agreement that we wanted different things in life. Beth wants to be able to like have kids and to like move in together and to get married. And those are just things that I'm not particularly interested in. Now you guys may be like, Jet, didn't you already get married once? Like, is it Like, what's wrong with like getting married or whatever? Well, for one, I probably shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. I mean, I did get a divorce pretty much immediately after. Um, but I feel like marriage is unnecessary. You can have a life partner, someone that you love and that you want to spend the rest of your life with, without necessarily having to go through marriage. Marriage can be a bunch of hoops, but if you get rid of like the legal part of marriage, it's just kind of a nice ceremony, and it's not really necessary for anything. You know what I mean? When it comes to like living with people, you'd be like, Jet, why don't you want to live with people? I've lived with people like my whole life until like December of last year. As a kid, I lived with my family. As a young adult, I lived with roommates in college. Now, I guess I'm still kind of just a young adult. That was only like a few years ago. Now, I'm a young adult living on my own, and I'm enjoying the luxury of being able to just like be at peace in your own space and not having to worry about like anyone or anything else interrupting your space or like preventing you from doing the things that you want to do. You know, you have like more control and independence over your own life, and I dig that. I also am not interested in like pets. Beth is really into pets, and that's totally fine. But she also is interested in like living together. And it's like I don't really want to have to like deal with pets or clean up after pets and stuff like that. And Beth really wants to have kids, and I feel like having kids sacrifices a large part of your freedom. You can't really be as free if you don't like if you have kids, you have to put a lot of your time and attention and focus and care into fostering children, and making sure that they like grow up and live happy lives. At least that's the goal. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like people who want to have kids, or anything wrong with people who enjoy having roommates, or anything wrong with people who like getting married, or anything wrong with people who have pets. All those things are totally fine. They're just things that I don't personally want to do. They're things that I don't want to pursue. And I don't want to prevent Beth from being able to pursue those things on her own. If she wants to do those things, then she should be free to be able to do those things and not have to choose between our relationship and being able to do the things that she wants to do. So we agreed that it'd be better for us to break things off. So I'm single. And because it's not like a devastating breakup, it's more of a mutual understanding that we want different things. I'm kind of back like mingling and stuff like that. You know, it's just a thing where it doesn't really make sense to harp on it too hard. It's not that I don't have like feelings for Beth. It's not that I don't care about the time we spent within our relationship. It's just more that there's no reason to stay focused on something once you've agreed that it's like over. So I'm moving on. And some people might say that I'm moving on like too fast, but I don't necessarily think so. You know, I don't know what the reason for like standing still would be. Also, Beth and I are still friends as far as I'm concerned. Like, it seems like we're still on good terms. Beth said that she would like some time. So I haven't really been like hitting up Beth or messaging Beth since we like broke up. But that's because she said that she wants some space, and that's totally cool with me. But yeah. Other than that, I wrote the Fiverr story. So I procrastinated on the Fiverr story for so long. But when I finally wrote it, I actually wrote it as like a silent superhero story. So I wanted to try and write it from the perspective of like a comic book writer, who's trying to tell the story visually without using like caption balloons or word bubbles or thought bubbles or anything. So the characters never speak. There's no like narration talking about like what the characters are thinking. It's just description. The whole story is just describing events and trying to visually convey the story and the characters and their motivations and what's happening without anyone saying anything or having to expressly convey their thoughts directly to the audience. And I had a lot of fun writing it. I ended up writing more than I planned. The person only hired me to write like 500 words or whatever, because it's 500 words for $5. And I ended up writing like a good bit more than 500 words just because I kind of like got into a flow. You know, I was just enjoying myself. So that was definitely fun. I definitely enjoyed that. But what were you guys' thoughts on what we talked about today? Let me know your thoughts on like the recent Twitter hype about that CIA document, your thoughts on Kingdoms of Amalur, the Re-Reckoning, your thoughts on DC's Black Rock Symbiote, your thoughts on Tron 3, your thoughts on Beth and I's breakup, and your thoughts on the idea of like a silent superhero story. Definitely let me know in the comment section below, and feel free to hit me up on the Discord. Thank you all once again for tuning in. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black the One Only, logging out. And make sure that if you guys did ring that notification bell, that you set it to all notifications. I checked YouTube analytics, and a lot of people hit me up and be like, I rung the bell, but I don't actually get notifications for all your videos. YouTube analytics shows that most people rung the bell without all notifications. So YouTube will only sometimes hit you up. So if you guys go in and you pick all, then you should get like all my content. So I think that explains what I've been hearing. My friend John Mason especially is like, yeah, like sometimes your videos just don't even like appear. Like I just don't get any notice at all. I think that might be it. Definitely let me know your thoughts on that as well on our Discord and in the comment section below. But thank you all once again for tuning in. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black the One and Only, logging out. Also, I forgot. In the title, it also says, what are my plans for tomorrow? Same old, same old. Like, I don't have anything in particular planned for tomorrow. So there you go. Anyways, this is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black the One and Only, logging out. Peace, guys. Check it again.